And welcome to our virtual town hall. On behalf of Fair Maps CNY, I'm Dustin Czarny, and I'm moderating this town hall. And we're here today because the city of Syracuse is about to undertake an historic proposition on Monday, a 2-year journey. Will start to come to fruition as the city of Syracuse is poised to adopt legislation that will enact a citizen-led independent redistricting commission for the upcoming redistricting process that will take place in 2021 because of the census that is coming into play. And I would like to invite Helen Hudson and Khalid Bey to speak on this. Helen is the Common Council president. She has been spearheading this movement since it began, and Councilor Bey is the sponsoring counselor for the legislation. And then after they make a few statements, I will do a quick presentation about what the law is going to be that is being passed. And I ask you to hold any questions until after you see the presentation and hear from the city lawmakers afterwards. We will open up for Q&A, and you can post your question in the chat, and we will have you read the question, or we'll read it for you if you don't want at the end of this town hall. But I think some answers will come in the presentations to come. So I'd like to invite Madam President Helen Hudson to speak on this. Helen?
Thank you, Dustin. First, I want to thank Councilor Pro Tem Khalid Bey, because he agreed to move this forward on our agenda, as well as the council as large, because they agreed to give up some of their power to actually let the citizens lead this initiative. I want to thank you, Dustin. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Perrine. There's so many people that was involved in this, but I do think that this is our opportunity now. We talk about bringing the citizens into their, how do I want to say this? We talk about bringing the public into City Hall. We talk about bringing the public to be a part of what we're trying to do to raise our city. This, for me, is a first step. It gives them an opportunity to redesign their communities the way they see they need to be redesigned. As a counselor, I can say that I've lived on probably each side of the city, but I haven't lived on each side to where I can say this particular street needs to be here or there, or this particular space needs to be here, because I'm not there all the time. The folks that are there all the time are the people who lives in these neighborhoods. So I think it's a great opportunity for community engagement. And it's a great opportunity for folks to basically be a part of the civil conversation, the civil duty that we say that constituents have. And this is a way for them to be civically involved in shaping the communities that they live in. And I just appreciate it. And I appreciate the citizens in the city for 75% overwhelmingly saying that they wanted to see redistricting.
Thank you, Madam President. And,
independent redistricting.
Right. Citizen-led. And Councilor Pro Tem Khalid Bey, would you like to speak, since you are the sponsor of this legislation?
Yes, Commissioner, I appreciate it. First of all, thanks to you and those who brought the fair redistricting legislation. Thanks to Madam President, to the council at large, and thanks to the mayor for seeing the value in this effort. Also to our colleagues on the county ledge, including the minority floor leadership, for also making the effort. I think, just to echo what President Hudson said, the value of this, I think, is understated. We've been a victim of gerrymandering for years, which has really disenfranchised a lot of voters throughout the city. It has divorced people from the process in a lot of respects. To create a committee where citizens can participate is likely to increase their involvement because they have a sense of ownership And I think that's a great value for this. This is all about, again, echoing what the president said, empowering the citizen and really helping them to understand. So what she said about the council surrendering power, I agree with 100% because real power lies with the people. And to help them understand that, I think is a great way to get people kind of reacclimated to the process. Again, to take ownership in the process, but most importantly, to empower the citizen to have some say in how their political process and ultimately their government will function. This is a great asset, I think, and it was a great move by the people. You don't get the partisan jockeying, and obviously, there's been some arguments made to the fact that even those who may be appointed as citizens will have party affiliations. That's understandable, but they are not elected officials with, immediate interests involved in the process. And so I think that lends a lot of value to assuring that we have something as close to fair as we can get, and something that'll be ultimately beneficial to the voters. So again, thanks to the commissioner, everybody involved. This is exciting because this is, I think, one of the kind of steps we need to make to kind of shore up our voting process leading to who our representatives will be. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Councilor. And I'm going to go into a quick presentation just so those that are watching know what we are looking and hoping to see passed on Monday and what changes this is going to do to the city of Syracuse. So I'm going to do a little slideshow here. I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Fair Maps CNY was created in early 2019 as a citizen group to start working on better redistricting inside the city of Syracuse and Onondaga County. This started when Madam President invited myself, Susan Lerner of Common Cause, and Chris Ryan back in February, I believe, of 2019 to present what independent redistricting would look like inside the city of Syracuse. And this is proposition number one. This is what happened was the Common Council near unanimously voted to put this question before the voters. And we actually were able to run a campaign to pass this amendment to the city charter to ensure that not only this next year, but for every redistricting to come, there will be independent citizen-led redistricting inside the city of Syracuse. Perrine Wasser was our wonderful organizer for this city to pass the city charter campaign. There she is showing the wonderful map of the city independent redistricting. And of course, Madam President was leading many different community meetings, both before and after the charter change was passed, so we can actually see what the citizens wanted in their redistricting here inside the city of Syracuse. So what is coming up? Well, this is what the city of Syracuse redistricting is going to look like. It's going to be an open application process. The Syracuse City Auditor will solicit applications from all city residents, or from all eligible city residents. Commission members will be randomly drawn. The Syracuse City Auditor draws 8 names from a pool of applicants. And those 8 then choose 6 more members, and all of the commissioners vote on the chair of the commission. So when the city auditor gets their applications in, and once they go through a process to make sure they have no conflicts of interest, there will be 8 randomly drawn commissioners, and then those commissioners will choose 6 more members so they can balance out the commission based on diversity, geographic diversity, and many other criteria, so we can make sure that we have a citizen commission that reflects the citizenry of the Syracuse. Commissioners are barred from running for office in the districts that they have drawn for 5 years and cannot be a city employee or political consultant for a city campaign. So this is important. This is part of the independence of this commission. And not only is it independent at the beginning, it's independent going forward. So nobody can draw districts just so they can run in them themselves. And we remove that conflict of interest. The commission will follow set guidelines for drawing districts within the Voting Rights Act and taking into account geography, diversity, and in race, gender, and other factors to determine these districts. The commission is barred from considering residency of incumbents in adoption of preliminary and final plans. So they will not look at where the current incumbents or candidates live to make sure that those districts fall around it. It'll be based solely on the needs of the city and the citizens that are make that up. The commission will have public meetings. It's drawn right into the legislation. They're going to meet 5 times before even coming up with a plan, and then 5 times after the preliminary draft it comes out, and then twice after proposing a final plan, and then one last time to approve the plan. During all of this, these will be public meetings where they will take public input. And so even people who are not as part of the commission can have a great opportunity to be part of the drawing of the districts. And finally, the commission has the final authority to draw the maps. The Syracuse City Council must either adopt or send back to the commission with detailed objections. And if there's a failure to produce a final plan, that would be resolved by the courts, not the Common Council. So if for some reason the Common Council does not accept the plan that comes into place, which we need to have since the city charter gives the Common Council sole legislative authority. But if for some reason the Common Council, the current Common Council doesn't adopt a plan, it'll be the courts who draw the maps and not the Common Council. So there's no motive for the Common Council to just reject plans so they can draw them themselves. So here's the timeline of the common. Hold on, there's a few people I need to enter into the chat. Sorry. Okay, here's the timeline of the city timeline. In December, there'll be 2020 enabling legislation passes the Common Council. In January 2020, the Census Bureau delivers population numbers to the president. In January 2021 through April 2021, the Syracuse City Auditor receives applications for redistricting. In April 2021, the census data should be transmitted to the city of Syracuse, but that could be delayed because of all the problems that we've had with the census. So we may not even have census data by April of 2021, but we'll have to see where that is. In May 22nd of 2021, the Syracuse City Auditor eliminates panelists for conflicts of interest and selects the 60 most qualified applicants. By May 31st, 2021, city councilors will be able to eliminate up to 1 panelist apiece if desired. So if they notice somebody in the final 60 that shouldn't be there, that somehow made it by the auditor, the common councilors have an ability to reject an applicant, 1 apiece. The city auditor then on June 30th, 2021 will perform a random drawing of 8 initial panelists. On July 31st, 2021, by that point, the 8 initial panelists will select 6 more panelists from a remaining pool to fill out the commission. Between August 1st, 2021 and January 31st, 2022, the panel will have up to 16 hearings and meetings in that time place. So it's about, 12 hearings and meetings. It'll be 2 a month. They'll make their own schedule, but it's about 2 a month, where they'll have 5 meetings before even coming up with a plan, have a meeting to come up with a preliminary plan, have 5 meetings afterwards on that preliminary plan to take public input on it, and then adopt a final plan. After they adopt the final plan on February 1st, 2022, they will have another 2 additional hearings to take further public comment on the final plan. And then by March 1st, 2022, the final plan is adopted and transmitted to the Common Council. The Common Council will have until May 1st to adopt it or send it back to the Common Council with their objections detailed. And then on June 1st, the final plan must be adopted by the Common Council. If it is not adopted, that would mean that the court must resolve disputes. The Corporation Council will immediately petition the Supreme Court to draw a map to service the city of Syracuse based on the criteria that is in this enabling legislation. So how can you get involved? Well, Fair Maps has been meeting quite a bit over the last few years, and you can obviously get involved with our meetings as well. But you can, if you're a city resident, apply to be a commissioner. Attend the 16 public meetings and hearings and give input, even if you aren't a commissioner. Help spread the word of these meetings and initiatives during the social media, and encourage the county to adopt a better structure, a more transparent structure for their redistricting, as well as the towns of Camillus, Salina, and the village of Solvay. So that's, there were some people who joined the chat. I'm going to allow them to enter into the hearing. So that is the basic structure of the of what this legislation will entail. That will be presented on Monday for a vote. So I'd like to invite some of the the city lawmakers, starting with the Mayor Walsh, to make some statements about this legislation, and then we'll go into the question and answer period. So here we go. Mayor Walsh.
Thank you, Commissioner. First, I want to thank you for all of your work on getting us this far, as well as all of the other organizers, Perrine and others that have worked so hard on this and really made it easy for me and other elected officials to get on board. I want to thank Council President Hudson, Council President Pro Tem Bey, for their leadership on the council. My job is easy. I sign ordinances, and I'll be proud to sign this one. The people have spoken loud and clear. They want independent, nonpartisan redistricting. It's evident in the vote tally, and we know why, because gerrymandering historically disproportionately impacts communities of color and other marginalized communities. So we're just looking to be fair, and that's never too much to ask. And as public servants, it's our obligation to deliver on the will of the people, and that's what we're here to do. So again, want to thank the Common Council for taking the leadership. Again, it's the council that ultimately has to relinquish some authority over this process. So I give them all credit for doing that, and again, look forward to continuing to support this important initiative.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that I'll go to the other councilor at larges that are here first. I've seen Rita Paniagua. You're here. Would you like to make a statement?
Sure. I would add to what Mayor Walsh just said, that Syracuse demographics have changed a great deal, specifically this past 10, 15 years. I remember when I first came to Syracuse 18 years ago, I mean, you couldn't hear or see the minority or people from other countries in Syracuse so as visible as they are today. So that change is huge. So I believe it is time to be reflective of the new constitution in our communities. Our district needs to be representative of the electorate, be inclusive, inclusion being a key word. As legislators, it will also help us better serve our neighborhoods, our people. Redistricting will bring together communities of interest. And thank you, Dustin, for all the hard work you've put together in the past couple years in this initiative. Thank you very much.
And Councilor at Large Ronnie White is on the, I believe, on the call. And Ronnie, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would, Dustin. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to Council President Hudson and Council Pro Tem Bey for their leadership on this issue. I'm glad to be able to speak in favor of this legislation, and it's really historic and important, I feel. And it's important because it prevents whatever parties in power at that time from entrenching themselves in that power and preventing them from relinquishing it, and preventing the people from holding those same politicians accountable to their will. And I think this legislation does a large service in removing that problem by implementing this independent redistricting process. And hopefully this legislation serves as an example to our other legislatures in the area, right? And lets them know that it's okay to place power back in the hands of the people where it belongs. And hopefully it will serve as a reminder that they should remain responsive to those constituents and not seek to enrich themselves with power and prevent the communities from moving forward for their own political gain. So again, I'm very happy to support this effort. So thank you, Dustin. Thank you for the other organizers that have made this happen. And I look forward to working to implement this legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe I've seen 5th District Councilor Joe Driscoll. Joe, if you'd like to, are you still here? Or you'd like to speak?
Yes, I'm still here, and thank you, Dustin. And yeah, just all the remarks people have already made. The goal of legislators is try to bring more equity to the city, and that's that's always a major priority for me and I know for my fellow councilors. So this is a big step in that direction. And the thing that I think of the most when I think about gerrymandering is one of my favorite authors, Jared Diamond, who wrote the book Collapse, about how different societies fall and empires fall. He's pointed to gerrymandering as one of the main things that he thinks will eventually become a major problem in our society, and is one of the greatest ills, that when people feel like the game is rigged, they're less likely to participate. And I think a lot of people in America are getting that feeling right now. And it's just so historic that, as you said, we're the first city north of the Mississippi, the first government to really take this on. And I'm just really proud of, all the people involved, Dustin, Perrine, Council President Hudson, Pro Temp Bey. Just really proud that Syracuse is at the forefront of this movement. And I really think it's, not only other governments in the region, but I think nationally, this is a best practice that every legislative body should adopt. And I'm proud to be on the council while this is happening, because I think it's best practice, and it really goes forward, to improving our democracy. So thanks everyone who fought so hard for this. I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Wonderful. So we're going to now enter I don't see any other city councilors on there. I know Troll and Majak and Latoya Allen and Pat Hogan all said that they were going to try to stop by, but they had other conflicts and other meetings going on. In general, I believe most of the council is favorable towards this legislation. And so I want to thank them for that, because as a city resident myself, and I've lived all over the city of Syracuse. I've lived in every council district except for 4, I think, and maybe someday when I retire downtown and become one of the new snowbirds, or the empty nesters that go downtown, maybe I'll have an apartment downtown or something like that. But
I know what you're missing, Commissioner.
so, but I'm going to turn this meeting over to Perrine Wasser, who is our organizer, and she's running the Q&A portion of this, so I can be available to answer any questions. So Perrine, take it away.
So our first question is from County Legislator Mary Kuhn. Mary, do you want to ask that question, or do you want me to read it?
You can read it. That's fine.
Okay. The first question is, what makes a citizen eligible to be on the redistricting committee?
So there's criteria in the legislation that says they have to be a city resident, obviously. They have to be an elector inside the city, so they have to be registered to vote inside the city as well. There's other criteria in the legislation that states that they can't have been a city employee, they can't be a political consultant, they can't run for office in the districts they create for another 5 years. So those are the basic criterias for the applicants to be able to be eligible to apply.
Great, thank you. And then Mary also asked, what are the criteria for most qualified?
Well, that is left up to the judgment of the city auditor. One of the reasons that we have the city auditor making the initial list of 60 applicants, which the entire list will be available, to the Common Council as well. But the initial list of the 60 most qualified, that'll depend on what the the pool of applicants look like. I think the city auditor will come up with some criteria based on geographic diversity and background. If there's people that have mapping backgrounds or public service backgrounds, that's the stuff that I believe the auditor will make that judgment call on.
Thank you.
Shannon Fabiani has asked, will the redistricting committee's meetings be open to the public?
Yeah, and by the way, anybody can jump in on this if they want to. Any of the city lawmakers do, but so I don't have to dominate the whole conversation. But yes, absolutely, and that's the number one reason for doing this is to take what was a closed door process that was done behind closed doors by city politicians and putting this out in the public. So every meeting of the Independent Redistricting Commission, whether it's a hearing on the plans or the voting meetings, are public meetings and available to be attended to and hopefully interacted with the public.
Are there any other remaining questions? You can raise your hand or enter them in the chat.
I think I saw one from Rita in the chat about the application process for citizens to be considered a panelist. That is going to have to be decided by the city auditor once we pass the legislation. I've been in contact with him. I'm absolutely, Fair Maps would be willing to help out with that. I'm sure there will be some kind of basic application that can launch on the city website sometime in January. And then we have those 3 months of that we're going to need everybody's help in publicizing this around. I mean, budgets are what they are. There's not going to be a big TV budget to be able to do massive communication. So we're going to have to make sure that we get out in the community and during a pandemic and trying to get people to understand that this is something that's available for. And I'm sure Fair Maps will be a big part of that.
And I think the community as a whole, Dustin, because the community is very excited about this, because I've had quite a few people come to me and tell me they want to be part of the process. So yes, we need to get it out far, we need to get it out wide, and we need to get it out in all neighborhoods and communities.
Definitely. Thank you, Madam President. And then I believe John Mayer, did you have a thought or question you wanted to add? If you can unmute yourself, that would be great.
All right, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My concern is this, and I moved back to Syracuse 8 years ago and became active in things here. So I saw this kind of process work in California very, very well, and they were all very afraid when they did it. So there is precedent with other municipalities and state governments to do this. But the one thing I'd like to do is a lot of the concentration is Democratic in the city of Syracuse, which I'm grateful for. But besides that, the fact is that we have not, or you all, even going back farther than 8 years, have not kept pace with the changes. I was blessed to see some surveys that people paid a lot of money for, one from the Presbyterian Church and others, and I worked for the census actually knocking on doors. And on the north side where I live, it's not the county, but the city splits us right down the middle. One side of Court Street has a councilor, Joe Czarny, and the other side has Pat Hogan, and never the twain shall meet. And when you live at the corner, you go, this is crazy. And it doesn't blend with the north side. More people have concerns from Washington Square to Grant Boulevard than they do with the near west side. That's kind of the thing that I wanted to put out there, that this is not a little twerk. You really have to look at the changes that have happened in this city. It's not what you think it is. A lot of our population is sort of hidden. And that Jay can address in his community, because that includes people in Washington Square, and it includes people up on Pond Street. It's only 3 blocks away, yet they're separated in their representation. So you can't really get a feeling of a group or a community if you split that community.
Mhm.
That's all I'd like.
Absolutely. And I think that's something we looked at when we were first drafting the charter change in the legislation. We know that the residents of a community know where to draw those lines best. As much as possible, we want to keep communities of interest together and keep neighborhoods together. In many areas, and especially on the north side, the lines get wonky and confusing. And I think this is the exact step we need to take to remedy that. And we are definitely grateful for other municipalities in California and Texas that have implemented this, because we've been using them as a guideline this whole time.
Yeah, and it's important to note that part of the reason why these current council district maps are so out of whack is because they haven't been done for 20 years. 10 years ago, the Common Council did not act, and none of these Common Councils were on, but the Common Council did not act 10 years ago to redraw the maps. They kept them the way they were. And so the population changes that have happened in the last 20 years are not reflected in the map at all.
The next question is from Peter McCarthy, who asked if there is something that needs to happen to finalize putting this legislation into effect. And that would be the vote coming up this Monday. Jimmy Monto, you have a question?
Hi, everybody. No, more of just a comment. I think first of all, I just want to thank everybody on this call for doing exactly what you have done with this. I think it's amazing. I want to reiterate exactly what John just said and what President Hudson said. We have to make sure that we have people in place that know these neighborhoods and know the pockets of these neighborhoods and know exactly what we're looking at. You can't just sit down and look at a map of the city of Syracuse and look at only the map. You have to talk to people that know these neighborhoods and know where the people are and what they need. I mean, I think that's key to this entire thing. So.
And with that, I just want to add that the census this year goes hand in hand with this redistricting process, because many people are mentioning the influx of residents in the city who have not been counted in the census properly. And Mayor Walsh has put on a huge effort this year to increase census turnout. And so when we get those numbers back, that'll play a huge part when we redraw these districts. Are there any other final questions or comments? Okay, then I'm going to hand this back to Dustin.
Well, thank you, everyone, for all of your hard work to get to where we are today. This is not something that normally happens in where you have a body, a legislative body that is willing to give up power and give it back to the citizens so we can have a better government that is working for more citizens as opposed to special interests. So I'm really proud to be a citizen of Syracuse today, and on a Monday, is my hope that this will pass, and then it will serve as a example for redistricting, because redistricting will also happen at the state legislature, and that is not a independent redistricting, because the legislature can redraw the maps if they want to by a certain vote. And then of course we saw what happened with the county legislature this year, where 15 of 17 legislators signed a pledge, and then unfortunately only 6 legislators upheld that pledge by voting for a similar redistricting plan. But that doesn't mean it's over, because redistricting still has to be passed by the bodies that are working on them, and that means that you as citizens have a right and say in the vote. So you should go attend those meetings and also talk to them about what their criteria, anybody who's on those redistricting commissions, what their criteria are for redrawing their maps, and encourage them to have an open and transparent process. And that's not just the county legislature. We also have the town of Camillus and the town of Salina and the village of Solvay that all have to redraw their districts in 2021. And so you as citizens are what drive this type of reform. So I encourage you to go out there and make your voices heard. Thank you very much to all of the people who spoke today and asked questions. As always, after this legislation passes, we'll probably have Fair Maps. We'll probably have some kind of virtual strategizing meeting at the beginning of January, so we can help the city spread the word of the application process and work with them on that. So, and I encourage you all, of course, if you are citizens of the city of Syracuse, to become commissioners yourselves, because I think it will be a very rewarding thing. I will not be able to do it, but that's okay. I know that the citizens that will be on that commission will draw us some really wonderful fair maps and propel us into the next 10 years of city government. So thank you very much, and we look forward to working with all of you in 2021 and beyond. Thank you again. Bye-bye.